Hello and welcome to this lecture. Today we'll be building out and coding an actual agent that will do some work for us, actually some fun for us. But first, just let me remind you that the anatomy of an agent, right, is the instructions or technically the system prompt, right? That defines the roles and the rules and the goal for the agent. Then there's any tooling. So if there's anything the agent needs, as far as functionality wise for a particular domain, then you can define those in tools. And then also, what also makes up an agent is the memory. So keeping track of the context, keeping track of a conversation that the agent will often find itself in. So that's, again, a good reminder of what an agent is. So what we want to do in this lecture is actually walk through and build an agent from scratch. So I'm going to create a Laravel application. I'm going to install the AI SDK, configure a model and its API key that we can use in Laravel. And then we'll start building out and using the SDK to create an agent, create some tool code, and run those commands so that we can actually interact with our agent. So let's go ahead and begin and start doing that. I'm going to switch over to a console here. And first, I'll just create a Laravel application just to get us into something we can use. And we are going to be creating a word sleuth game, or basically a hangman game, but I'll just call it word sleuth. So I'll go ahead and create this Laravel application. Don't need a starter kit for now. Don't need to worry about testing right now. Laravel Boost is a different library that we will not be using for this lecture. We're going to use the AI SDK for this lecture. SQLite, we'll stick with that for the default. Sure, we can let the installer run our npm stuff for us. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and just cd into our word sleuth app. So then from here we can composer run dev. We can run the application. We will when we get some things set up first. So this is kind of the part where we're going to step into some AI SDK specific items. So stick with me here for a minute while we get this set up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the AI SDK into our application by running this composer command. I'm going to require the Laravel AI SDK, and that will download, bring in, and install that into this Laravel application. Great. The next thing we need to do is we need to set up a provider for this application. Again, this is more me just hand waving past this. Just know it's a step you need to run to get the AI stuff to work in your application. So we're going to run PHP artisan vendor, and we're going to publish this provider. So you just need to run that. So it kind of basically copies some files in for us, and AI.php is one that we use, and I think, yeah, some migrations that we're going to need in there as well. So speaking of migrations, now that we have those in there, let's go ahead and run our migrations. All right, great. So we have our migrations ran, everything's up to date there. We'll come back to this create agent conversions table, which is going to be really important for the memory part, right? We need to keep track of the conversation that's happening between the agent and a user while it's running. So we're going to use our database to keep track of those conversations. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run our seed, because we want to have a user into our system. So there's a default seed to add a user. So that's great. So next thing, we've created our Laravel application. We've installed the AI SDK. We've copied some files in, ran our migrations, and we've seeded. Okay, so far so good. The next thing we need to do is we need to configure our agent to use an LLM or a model, and these are provided by various companies in the industry. So I have a few of these listed here. Some of the more popular ones, if I jump over to OpenAI, so if I go to platform.openai.com, you can create an account and create an API key within here. All right. So typically these cost, again, they're not too expensive. Some of them I think you can even do like pay as you go. So like you throw in $5 and just see how far that'll take you. I think that's what I've done here. Like in this OpenAI account, I put like $20, and I haven't used very much of this. If I go to Anthropic or Claude, platform.claude.com, again, you can create an account, go and create a key, and then you're off and running. And again, like I said, usually you can just add credit, $5, $10, just to kind of get started, which should be plenty for this assignment. If that's all you want to do is just do this assignment and then cancel your account, that's totally fine. But if you want to continue growing and developing this field of software development, I'm pretty certain you're going to keep your account and continue to play with creating agents, depending on the type of work that you'll be doing here in the future. One other thing that you could do is if when you do get hired on, not guaranteed, but most companies nowadays will pay for an account and they'll give you an API key to use. So just keep that in mind for future reference. But for now, while you're learning, I would definitely purchase one or more of these accounts, put $5, $10 on them, and then just start playing with them. Definitely a lot of fun. Another one is from Google. So they have an aistudio.google.com. Again, you can create an account or use an existing Google account, create an API key, and then go from there. And lastly, there's one called DeepSeek, platform.deepseek.com. I only mention this one because this one is super, super, super affordable, all right, compared to OpenAI and Claude and Google. So it's a great one to use to play around with. So your money will go a lot further. The quality of these models will vary. Claude is very good. OpenAI is very, very good. But, DeepSeek, I think you can have decent quality at the fraction of the cost of the others. So again, for learning, maybe DeepSeek's the one to use to play with. I know that for this lecture, I'm using DeepSeek. Again, I'm not advocating for any of these. I'm just pointing them out as companies and platforms that you can use to create your agents, and you'll see varying quality depending on the models that you use. So once you have a key, It'll allow you to copy it first before it hides it. So you can copy that and bring it into uh, your application. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So once you get back over to your code, let's see, I can open this up in an editor. And you're going to want to go into a couple different files. All right, you're going to want to open ai.php, which is inside of config. And inside of here, lo and behold, they have what provider are you going to use? So there's default, there's images, audio, transcriptions, really cool things that are built into Laravel that do a lot for you. I'm really impressed with the AI agent SDK that Laravel has done. Other frameworks are doing similar things. So I would be leery of building this from scratch. I would look for your framework or a library or some sort of SDK to do a lot of this for you. So I'm going to configure these. Notice down here, if I'm using Anthropic, which is the one from Claude, right? There is DeepSeek, Gemini, which is the one from Google, and then there's OpenAI, the other one that I mentioned. So, like I said before, for this lecture, I'm going to use DeepSeek. So I'm going to change my this one to DeepSeek. That'll just be my default. And then the next thing you need to do is you need to open up this .env file because it's looking for a DeepSeek configuration in here. And so we want to make sure and get that in there. So I have this off screen, copy and paste it over here. So now I can use that. So again, just to kind of connect the two, this .env file is where we put all of our configuration for our application. And so I have my DeepSeek API key, but that's in the ai.php, that is, I'll tell you where that's right here. The DeepSeek configuration is looking for an environment variable called DeepSeek API key. So that's how those two files are connected. All right, cool. So once that's configured, and once you feel good about it, we can go ahead and actually start to build our agent because now our agent will use this information to do its work. So let's jump back over to the command line and start to build this out. And so the Laravel SDK gives you a command to run to create our agent. So we can do PHP artisan make agent like that. And we can give it a name, word sleuth. We're not going to be generating any structure output for this. Again, don't worry about that for now. And so now, underneath app AI agents word sleuth, we have a file that's been generated for us. So now we can go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see, app AI word sleuth. Perfect. All right, so now we have a few different functions here. We have instructions, which is our system prompt. So going back to our agent terminology, right? We have our instructions, which is a system prompt, right? And this is where we define the role, the rules, and the goal for the agent. And tools, remember, is just the functions you can call and do things with. So if you go back here, we have instructions, which is our system prompt. I'm going to talk about messages in a second. We have our tools function, which is where we're going to define tools that we could use for our agent. So we'll come back to that in a second. The first thing I want to do is talk about messages. So messages, again, This, if you look at the description, it says, get the list of messages comprising the conversation so far. Well, we can do this a couple different ways. We can manage this conversation on our own, which means, okay, here's an array, and we want to keep track of the text messages coming from the agent and then the text messages coming from the user. And we have to manage that array ourselves. So we have to add to the array and display the array. And it's pretty tedious if you want to do that on your own. So what Laravel has done is they've actually said, hey, you know what? We can do this work for you. And so in order to do that, you just have to use a particular library and then just get rid of this function altogether. So Laravel, as part of the AI SDK, has this library called Remembers Conversations. And so I just want to bring that in. So use Laravel AI concerns remembers conversations. Okay, so we want to use that, and then we want to stick it right here. Okay, which is cool. And just by doing that, we're going to get a bunch of functionality. All right, we get to totally get rid of this. We don't have to manually manage our messages. Basically, we don't have to manage the conversation because that remembers conversation library that we're bringing in will do it for us. So voila, that's awesome. We're going to take advantage of that. We're going to use it and basically say thank you very much. All right. Sweet. So don't have to worry about that anymore. So what else? What else do we need to do? Well, we have, I guess I can get rid of this line. The next thing we want to do is, I guess we can build out this this prompt. And again, we're building out a hangman game basically. So I went ahead and built some of these sections ahead of time, so I wouldn't have to just type them out. So let me copy and paste that over. All right. Cool. So let's read through this a little bit, okay? I want you to observe the role, the rules, and the goal, right? The let's see, the role, the rules, and the goal, right? That's really the intention of this system prompt. So we want to make sure and look at that. So you are a word sleuth, the host of a game of Hangman themed around animals. The player tries to uncover hidden animals by guessing one letter at a time. So starting a game. When a new game begins, call the pick word tool, which we're going to develop here in a minute, exactly once to obtain the secret word. The tool's result is the single source of truth. Never choose the word yourself and never reveal it until the game ends. So for each turn, the player sends a single letter. A correct letter fills in every position where it appears. A wrong letter costs 1 life. The player starts with 6 lives. Ignore repeated guesses of an already guessed letter. All right. Always end each reply with this status block. So the word, revealing any correct letters, the guesses so far, and the amount of lives you have used and have left. So, winning and losing. If every letter is revealed, the player wins. Celebrate and show the word. If lives reach 0, then the game is over, and also reveal the word. After a game ends, invite them to play again, which starts a new pick word call. Keep replies short, upbeat, and a little witty. Never leak the secret word in your narration, hints or examples. So, what's going on here? Why? I mean, it seems like I could write anything I want here. And you know what? You can. So this is the crazy part. If you're a creative writer, you can go into as much detail about how you want your agent to act. This is actually super cool, right? I could have left this one paragraph long saying, I want the user to play a hangman game and just stop. But what that does is it leaves the agent and the model that you're using totally open and possibly vague, or giving it the ability to hallucinate and do its own thing. But the more detailed, the more rich, the more involved you can be part of writing a good prompt, it really can make your game, or really make your agent sound and thrive in an amazing fashion. So keep that in mind when you go to create your agent. Spend some time, and in fact, you might spend most of your time on the system prompt, because this is the power in using agents to do this work for you. Um, you may create an agent, you may create a prompt, and you may use it after a while and see some limitations, and then you can go back and edit your prompt to make it better, right? So keep that in mind as you work through. Um, this prompt is something that I've worked through for a while until I got it to a pretty good spot. Um, so just want to just re-emphasize how important it is to write this prompt. So that's great. We're going to do that. Um, the next thing we want to do is, there's been a reference to a tool. So a pick word tool. It's been referenced twice. And in order to use that tool, we need to define it. And so down here, you're going to have an array of tools. And so you'll just instantiate a tool, right? So I don't have this class defined yet though, right? I need to have this tool defined. And so what I want to do is, where it's going to live is, I'm going to create a path that doesn't even exist yet. So use app AI. I'll have a folder called tools, and then pick word, right? So that doesn't exist yet either, right? So if I go underneath this app AI agents, there is no tools directory. So that's what I want to do next, is actually create a tools directory. Let's see, new folder, tools, and then under here, I want to create a new class, and we'll call it pick word. And so now we have our pick word class. And then again, like I said, to save some time, I already have some this already pre-built. So let me copy that over and I'll talk about it. Okay, so what we're doing over here now is we have a pick word class which implements uh, functionality from the tool. And that's, again, coming from the Laravel AI SDK, which allows this to act as a tool for our agent. So in here now, I just have, notice this, I have an array of words. So I have easy, medium, and hard animals. Again, this is just random for fun. I have a description, basically just describing what this tool does. That's fine. The key functionality is this handle function. This is where all the work happens. So again, this is just PHP code. There's really nothing crazy going on here. We are going to, again, decipher. We want to grab the difficulty. So you'll see when we run this code, we have to pass in the difficulty. And the difficulty is going to be either easy, medium, or hard. If that comes in, great, use it. If not, just default to medium. So that'll be the difficulty value. And then we want to grab a value out of our array. So that's what this does. It's going to grab that the pool of words, whether it's all the easy words, all the medium words, or all the hard words. That's going to be an array. And then we'll grab a random word. And again, what's cool is you've seen this functionality. This is straight PHP code. So we're going to grab a random word, and then we're going to return that information back out so that the agent can use this in its own code. And that's all. That's it. The schema, just ignore this for now. Okay, don't worry about that. This is where basically the magic happens. But again, an array, we've seen those before, and just code that gets a random word out of the array. We've seen that kind of stuff before as well. So that's just straight PHP code. So what's awesome is that if I go back to the agent, notice I'm not calling the pick word code. I'm not calling that class anywhere. All I'm saying is I'm telling the agent to say, use the pick word class to get me a random word. That's it. And the agent is smart enough to know to get to make that call and do all that stuff for us. So again, thank you, Laravel AI SDK, for doing that for us. All right, cool. So the next thing we want to do now is we have, where are we at here? We have created an agent, we have instructions, and we have tools. The next thing we need to do is we need to test out the memory. So in order to test out the memory, we actually need to call this and run it so that we can build up that context to see how that works. So let's go ahead and do that next. Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually build an artisan command for this. And we've been calling and using artisan commands a lot. Anytime you call PHP artisan migrate, PHP artisan db seed, those are all built into Laravel. Well, for us, it's going to be a quick way for us to test out our agent is just create a command, and then we can run the command. So let's go ahead and generate one. Laravel gives us a way to do that. So I'm going to call it PHP artisan make command, and we'll just call it play hangman command.php, because this is the command we're going to use to play the game. All right, so this created app console commands play hangman command. So check this out. If I do PHP artisan list, it'll show me every single artisan command that's available to me. So I'm going to run that. And let's see if I have if I can see this command, if it's in here yet. Oh yeah, there it is. App play hangman command. So I'll want to update that to make that a little easier to type, but that's the one we just created. So it's a part of all these other commands that are built in. Our commands are built in or now made available for anybody that's using our application. So let's go ahead and open up that. Where was that again? Let's see. App console commands. All right, let's go back to that. Play hangman game. All right, again, nothing in here. I'm actually going to update this to this signature is basically the command that we call to run it. So I'm going to make this easier for us. I'm just going to say play hangman. That'll be nice and easy. And then this description, hangman game command. So that's cool. And then again, for the sake of time, because I've worked on this ahead of time, I'm going to grab some code and bring it over so we make sure it works good. Then I'll go through and talk about this. Okay, so again, play hangman is the command. We can continue. So we can resume your last game. That's part of the memory. That's part of context. That's why we used this remember conversation so that these can be saved into a database. So that if we exit the game and come back, we can continue the game that we were playing before. That's super powerful. So we can do that. We can set the difficulty level. And so again, this part again is mostly just PHP code. I don't want to get too detailed here, but let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, this handle function is what gets called when you run your agent or when you run your program. So, or I guess more specifically, when you run this command. All right, it's really what it is. But it basically acts like a program. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to look up a user because we need to be able to associate what user is interacting with this agent. Now, if you ever need to make that more dynamic, you can do that in the future, but for now, we're just hard coding it to the first user, all right? If there's not a user in the database, for example, if you didn't do a DB seed like I did, it just says, hey, look up the user. If it's not there, go ahead and just create one here on the fly. That's fine. Once we have that user, we're going to instantiate our word sleuth agent. So basically, that's what we're doing. We're going to assign that to a variable. If the command line option is to continue, then check this out. From memory, right? And where's this keyword coming from? I'm going to just keep going back, right? Memory is part of an agent. That's important. That's how it keeps track of context. So this continue last conversation is built into Laravel, and it's a way that we can grab contextual memory from previous ran commands and keep the game going. And we'll make sure we get the context there, and then we'll continue on and move forward with the game. So that's awesome. Now, if you're not in a continue situation, then basically you're going to start a brand new, fresh game, right? You're going to start a brand new game. So you're going to assign this user to the agent. You're going to grab the difficulty. So option basically says, when they start this command, they're going to pass in a value and pass the difficulty of easy, medium, or hard. I will show you that in a minute. Grab that, and then we're going to go ahead and prompt the agent to start the game. And then you're off and running. The game is running, okay? You'll get a command to type in a letter, and then lo and behold, here's your loop, right? Here's your loop that keeps you within the game. So text basically allows you to type into the command line. So it'll say your guess, and you can type in a letter, hit enter. That goes into a variable. The agent, you'll prompt the agent with your guess, and it'll tell you, based off the system prompt instructions, how to respond to this. And then you just stay in this loop continually as long as you want. You can play this game forever if you wanted. So that's really cool. That's exciting. I think I'm ready to show you the game now and go ahead and run this. So let's jump over to here, and I will show you the game. Hopefully everything copied, pasted, works okay. So let's go ahead and run PHP Artisan play. Actually, if I go back to list, right, I updated the command. Let's see, where are you? Here we go. So play hangman is now the command that I defined for this game. Let's see. Yep, that's what I defined right here, play hangman. Okay, great. Let's go back. PHP Artisan play hangman. And I'm going to set the difficulty to be easy. So I'll start out easy. See how it goes. Look at that, it worked. So let the games begin. I'm thinking of an animal. Can you guess it, one letter at a time? So it's building this game. It's using this block that we defined in our system prompt. And now I can start typing a letter. So let me just start. Let me see if it's a cat. I'll start with C. And looks like C worked. I'm going to go with A. A worked. T. Oh, let's see. Not if it's not a cat. Oh, maybe it's a cow. Oh, looks like I'm getting in the right direction. Cow. So notice the wittiness here. It said moveless, right? Where did that come from? All right. Another thing I just noticed up here is it put a cow emoji into the reply. Are you serious? Like, I think when you go back to the prompt, um, where was the part? Right here. Keep your replies short, upbeat, and a little witty. This is the agent doing its intelligence. This is the agent being creative with the prompt that you've given it. It's following the prompt, but it's doing it its own way, right? I'm not hard coding this at all. So it's the agent actually coming back and being intelligent in that fashion. That is so cool. Um, so with that in mind, I can play. Let's see. You saved the day. Fancy another round. Just say the word. So I'm just going to say yes and just see if it tries to do it again. So new challenge. Again, I'll try. I don't see what this emoji is yet. I don't know what that is. I'll just start with a D. D for dog. I don't know. Nope. Um, I'll try C again. Oh, here we go. There's the hint up here. It gave me a pig emoji, so I'm going to go PIG now. Yep. And it worked. Oinktastic. So you get the idea. I'm going to say no to play again. And no problem. Thanks for playing. Come back anytime. Take care. At this point, I'm just going to hit Control C and just get out of this. And the next thing I want to show you is the continue functionality. So I am going to start, but I'm going to come up here and do a difficulty of, oh, I forgot what it was. Let's see, where's the difficulty? It's hard. So I'm going to pick a difficulty of hard. And start with some guess. So I'll start with E. Great guess, a letter. Nope. Let's see. So how about T? Okay, T is not in there. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to quit out of this game. Okay, quit out. And then I want to go back, and instead of starting a new game, I just want to I want to type in this dash dash continue. And so we're using the memory, the context that the game is built for us so that when we come back, it's hopefully it picks back right back up where we left off. So I'm going to type continue. Oh, this is also the part in the code where, right here, if option is continue, it's going to use the memory and continue last conversation functionality that's built into Laravel. So this is the part of the code that we're going to use now since the command is continue. All right. All right, so let's see if this works. And lo and behold, it continued right where we left off. So that's exciting. I don't think you want to spend the time for me to continue here, but I could also cheat and look at what those values are. But I'm going to go ahead and just stop here because I wanted to show you how this memory thing works real quick. Actually, I can jump back over to here while that's running. And what I want to do is I want to look at the database here, and I want to open the database and look at that. So I have some tables in here. And so we have agent conversations. And so I have two different games that have been started within user ID of one. So what it's doing is associating each game to a user. And the title, easy game start. The second one was a hard game start, created it and updated. So that's the uh, uh, associated table there. And then the next thing where we want to look at is the agent conversation messages, which this one is even more intriguing because now we have the ID, we have a conversation ID, and we have the user ID. So it's acting like a join table. It's letting us know what agent we're using, what role we're in, and then tells us uh, the game that we started and the progress of the game. So notice it keeps track of each step along the way so that if I ever quit out of it, it would pick back up and look at the most recent um, record in the database, right? So this is the long-term storage memory that allows our agent to have the correct context for the game being ran. And this is just crazy awesome. So um, so that's why that's important. Um, and so that's basically us covering all three of these pieces of an agent: the instructions, the tools, and the memory. So uh, very important parts as you're building that out. Um, so we're just scratching the surface. I think it's a lot of fun. One thing I wanted to end on is to show that this same agent code, even though we just ran this from the command line, you could use this agent in a front end web AI, or front end web tool as well. So that's a little bit beyond the scope of this lecture, but I did want to show it to you as a teaser to show what's possible. So I'm going to show that to you now. I have a web front end built in this, and you can see we have the difficulty set. We can do a new game. We can start this new game, um, and we can run that from here. And so I can interact with this Hangman game. Um, so again, I can start typing in here. So C, no C. So how about an E? Great. How about an A? How about a T? Um, S? H? Oh, I'm not looking at my hints, am I? Nope, I don't see any hints. Tread carefully. I don't know. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm just going to look it up. So, second letter is a T. Let's go look at the words. Uh, Second letter is a T. Oh, is it otter? Wait, this was medium? Um, I am not sure. Oh, well, I'm not sure what this word is. Oh, down to two lives. Um, wow, I think there's a bug here, but That's something I might have to fix at some point here. Oh, the command, the terminal command actually worked perfectly. My web app version of this has a bug in it, so I will have to figure that one out unless I'm just not seeing which one it is. So I'm gonna go and just pick a random letter and let the game kick me out. So um, let's see. Game over. Animal was otter. So yeah, I think that was a bug, or that definitely was a bug. But anyway, the point of this is I basically recreated, used the agent that we use in here in the command, the command line. This agent is the one that I was able to use in a web browser, and so you can start build out really cool, intelligent web interfaces to these agents that you have. So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And again, just to remind you, we can take these industry concepts around an agent, uh, start to build code for it. Laravel gives us an SDK that basically automates all these things, these pieces for us, and we can get going building agents very, very quickly. So, all right, well, I'm going to leave it at that. Have a good one. Bye.